Have you ever wondered if faith and science are at war with each other? Is belief in God the enemy of scientific discovery? Or could these two great quests for truth actually walk hand in hand? In a world swirling with questions, doubts, and dazzling discoveries, it's easy to feel caught in the middle. But what if the story of Christianity and science is not one of conflict, but of deep harmony, curiosity, and awe? Today, journey with us as we uncover the true relationship between faith and science in Christianity, a story more surprising and inspiring than you might ever imagine. 1. The ancient roots, Christianity's embrace of inquiry. To begin our exploration, let's travel back in time, back to the dawn of Christianity itself. In the ancient world, the early followers of Jesus inherited a vision of the universe rooted in wonder. The opening lines of Genesis declare, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." This was no random accident, but the deliberate act of a God who delights in order, beauty, and intelligibility. Unlike the chaotic myths of neighboring cultures, Christianity painted a picture of a cosmos governed by a rational creator. The universe was not a wild, unpredictable realm of warring gods, but a creation bursting with meaning, waiting to be discovered, understood, and cherished. This belief that creation is both real and knowable became the fertile soil out of which Western science would one day grow. The Church Fathers, like Augustine and Basil, encouraged the study of nature, seeing it as a second book alongside Scripture, God's handiwork on display. Far from being threatened by inquiry, early Christianity saw science as a way to glorify God, to gaze more deeply into His mysteries, and to fulfill the ancient call to seek wisdom. 2. The Middle Ages, cradling the scientific revolution. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, a time often misunderstood. Contrary to the myth of Dark Ages, monasteries and cathedral schools were vibrant centers of learning. Monks preserved ancient texts, studied the stars, and pioneered fields like mathematics, medicine, and natural philosophy. It was in this Christian context that universities were born, places where theology and science, faith and reason were not rivals but partners in the quest for truth. Figures like Thomas Aquinas argued that faith and reason, both gifts from God, illuminate different aspects of reality. Where reason reaches its limits, faith soars higher, but never in contradiction to truth. Many of the greatest pioneers of science were themselves devout Christians. Roger Bacon, a Franciscan friar, championed the experimental method. Nicholas Copernicus, a canon in the Church, reimagined the cosmos. And Johannes Kepler, famed astronomer, saw his work as thinking God's thoughts after him. For them, scientific discovery was an act of worship, a way to honor the Creator by unveiling the wonders He had woven into the fabric of the universe. 3. The age of conflict, myths, and misunderstanding. Today, we often hear about an inevitable war between faith and science. The Galileo affair is cited as the classic example, a tragic tale of science suppressed by dogma. But the truth is far more nuanced. Galileo was a man of faith, supported by many in the Church, and his conflict was as much about politics and personalities as it was about theology or science. The so-called conflict thesis, the idea that science and Christianity have always been locked in battle, arose much later in the 19th century. It was promoted by writers with axes to grind, eager to paint religion as an obstacle to progress. But historians have since shown that this narrative is too simplistic. Far more often, faith and science have been companions, sometimes wrestling, sometimes questioning, but always journeying together toward deeper truth. 4. Faith and science, different lenses on one reality. So what is the real relationship between faith and science in Christianity? Think of it like this. Imagine two lenses, each bringing the world into focus in its own way. Science seeks to answer the questions of how, the mechanisms, the patterns, the laws that govern the physical world. Faith, on the other hand, asks why, probing meaning, purpose, and the spiritual realities that lie beyond the reach of microscopes and telescopes. Christianity teaches that all truth is God's truth, whether discovered in a laboratory or revealed in Scripture. Science reveals the artistry of the Creator, mapping the intricate dance of galaxies, atoms, and DNA. Faith interprets these wonders, pointing to a loving purpose behind the veil of mystery. This is not a relationship of competition, but of complementarity. Science can illuminate the how of creation, but it cannot answer the deepest questions. Why is there something rather than nothing? Why are we here? What does it mean to be human? Faith steps in where science is silent, offering hope, meaning, and an invitation to relationship with the one who made it all. 5. Modern voices, Christians in the lab. Even today, many of the world's leading scientists are people of faith, Christians who see no contradiction between their love for God and their passion for discovery. Francis Collins, the geneticist who led the Human Genome Project, describes his journey from atheism to Christianity as one fueled by awe at the complexity and beauty of life. For him, science and faith are complementary ways of knowing, each enriching the other. Other Christian scientists, like Jennifer Wiseman, astronomer and director of the Dialogue on Science, Ethics, and Religion, speak of a sense of calling, a desire to explore the cosmos as an act of stewardship and worship. These men and women model a faith that is curious, humble, and unafraid, a faith that sees the laboratory as holy ground. 6. Navigating tensions, evolution, miracles, and mystery. Of course, not all is easy or simple. There are genuine debates within Christianity about topics like evolution, the age of the earth, and miracles. Some Christians read the Genesis creation account as poetic and theological rather than scientific. Others hold to a literal 6-day creation. But across these differences, the central affirmation remains: God is the creator, and his world is good. Christians are called to wrestle honestly with new discoveries, trusting that truth will not contradict truth. When apparent conflicts arise, history teaches patience, a willingness to listen, learn, and wait for deeper understanding. As St. Augustine wrote centuries ago, all truth is God's truth. Miracles, too, are not a denial of science, but a reminder that the author of the laws of nature is free to write new chapters in his story. Christians believe in a God who is both immanent, sustaining the cosmos moment by moment, and transcendent, able to act in ways that surpass our understanding. 7. Faith, science, and the call to wonder. In the end, perhaps the greatest gift Christianity offers to science is its sense of wonder. The Psalms declare, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands." Every discovery, every new insight becomes an invitation to worship. The Christian scientist is not simply cataloging facts, but marveling at a world shot through with glory. This sense of wonder is not naive, but deeply rooted. It calls us to humility, to recognize that our knowledge, though vast, is always incomplete. It calls us to awe, to see the fingerprints of God in the design of a leaf, the swirl of a galaxy, the complexity of a cell. And it calls us to gratitude, to receive creation as a gift, entrusted to our care. 8. The journey forward, partners in hope. As we look to the future, the relationship between faith and science in Christianity is not one of rivalry, but of partnership. Together, they invite us to seek truth, to ask the deepest questions, to care for the world entrusted to us, and to love both God and neighbor with heart, soul, mind, and strength. For the Christian, science is not a threat to faith, but a servant of it, a tool for understanding the world, healing the sick, feeding the hungry, and alleviating suffering. Every scientific advance becomes an opportunity to glorify God, serve others, and bear witness to the hope that is within us. So let us walk forward with confidence, curiosity, and joy, knowing that in the search for truth, faith, and science walk hand in hand, leading us ever deeper into the mysteries of God and the wonders of his creation. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey through faith and science. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you see faith and science as friends or foes? How have you wrestled with these questions in your own life? Share your insights and questions in the comments below. If you found this exploration inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Faith and Life for more thoughtful, faith-filled content. Together, let's keep seeking, questioning, and marveling at the great adventure of faith and discovery.